the difference between 4-1 and 3-2, that's not insignificant.
No, it is not. And it looks like Cherry here is going to put their hopes to go 4-1 in their Doomfist play, while Alistair's going to be rocking that hog.
Yeah, very interesting. You know, you got the Echo Hog. The Echo actually, I mean, what do you think of this Echo into the Sojourn? Like, even with the new nerfs, do you think this Echo is just gonna like get too poked down?
I think this Echo's going to have to play around some windows, but that being said, that Echo's already down.
Yeah, just Sojourn things, you know. Sometimes it just happens like that. But you know, we still got Malware here fighting for the point. English is failing me. But the death happened early enough, right? That Malware is going to be able to reset. They're going to be able to get Alistar on the point. And if Hog is nothing, he is tanky. So he can stand there and he can contest the point. And either Tempest puts all that into killing him, which they actually just managed, and that's not great for Malware. Or, you know, they just lose the point. A little bit of a mistake there from Cherry punching off the map. Shouldn't matter, though, as this fight should be won.
Exactly, and Xylo did try to come back there with a really early death on the Echo there, but it was unfortunately not enough. Alistair is trying to force that fight directly onto the point there, but it did seem like that Hog is just getting overwhelmed.
Yeah, the damage with the Kiriko and the Doomfist and that Sojourn especially, and even there, look at the damage Phaedron's been putting down there. They're already at a Pulse Bomb. I feel like a lot of resources getting put in this Hog, and Italy's going down is not going to help that. That's the majority of healing from Malware. Yep. Phaedron blows themselves up, but...
Yeah, it looks like Panda's doing work here on that Sojourn here, even despite some of those nerfs coming through, but Xylo's look like he's getting a little cheeky there on the Echo, trying to take out the opposing Kiriko.
And Destiny ends up just going off the map, possibly just resetting. I didn't really get a good look at it, but not a great start from Malware. They're not even terribly close to their ultimates. They probably lose this fight to the ultimates of Tempest, but after this fight, they're going to have that Kiriko ult, they're going to have that Hog ult, and they're going to have that duplicate, and I think it's really incumbent on them to make sure they get as much out of Tempest in this fight as they can.
Yeah, I'm really looking at Triplet's sound barrier here. He is about 5% away. That's going to be a big ultimate to sustain him through the next slew of ultimates from Tempest here.
Meteor Strike comes out, big damage, a lot of poke going on to Malware. No one down just yet, but as I say that, Xylo does fall. Phaedron wins the duel with Destiny, Alistar will fall, and that is going to be the fight, and Tempest only had to use one ult there, nerd.
Yeah, crucially, Malware held on to both support ultimates and, crucially, that overclock. That overclock is going to be massive trying to get an early pick here to put this round away.
Yeah, you've got Panda Squad with that overclock and both support ults up, so that's going to provide a lot of survivability. On the flip side, though, Malware also has both support ults up, as well as that Hog ult and the duplicate. They're going to engage here with the Kitsune Rush into the beat. Teams answering with their own Kitsune Rush. A lot of just trading and poking so far. Revalia very low. They will be found. Sherry falls to the Hog hook. Panda Squad and Phaedron are going to try and turn this around, and they're not doing a bad job of it.
No, it's not. Alistair's finally coming alive on that Hog, finding that hook onto Panda Squad, really putting his team at an advantage here. It looks like Triplet is going to try to stall at the point here, despite his team being at 99.
Itzy does fall in the Tracer duel. Actually, that wasn't it. That wasn't the Tracer duel. That was just to the Doom. Oh, and the Doomfist is back. It's just Alistar with the whole Hog, trying to kill Sherry in the corner, but the damage comes through in time, and round one, 100-0 to Tempest.
Oh, Cherry looks dominant on this Doomfist.
They do.
We were talking a bit before the match here about what does Doom looking like in the new meta, and boy, is he looking good. That Echo, I'm very suspect of the Echo. The Echo looks like it really needs to play around these burst windows, right, where they can dive bomb a target, get the stickies, get that focusing beam out to try to really burst down one target and get out.
Yeah. I mean, it is not unwinnable for Malware here, though. Actually, as I am sorry, I got my names backwards. That was actually Malware winning that round 100-0. I'm sorry. But both teams rocking a very similar comp, except Xylo switching over to that Sojourn. I think that's a very good swap. What about you, nerd?
I do like it. I think the Doom might be able to outpace the Sojourn from Xylo here. That Doom being able to play a little bit faster, put a lot more pressure on the backline and on some of that range damage here.
Yeah, the Doomfist is going to be a big problem for that backline. But you do have Alistar to answer that with the hook, as unfortunately that hook does go wide, but just the threat of that Hog in your face, enough to get Sherry to back up. Able to body block for a Z there, but it's taking a lot of damage, and it's actually Alistar that's going to pay the price, and without that tank, the team just falls behind you.
Malware is playing like such a cohesive team right now. We saw early on when that first hog hook came out, there was a Zuzu immediately to try to counter. And then when that second hook came out and the Zuzu's down, we see Cherry punching to actually knock the Doom back to peel for his supports.
Yeah, and the Xylo now over to the Genji. Very interesting. And recently nerfed, but gonna do much better against this Doomfist, wouldn't you say?
Yes, he is nerfed, but also that the new damage roll passive is also a nerf to Genji as well. And that being said, Alistar finds triplet early.
That's a very good pick. No speed left here from Malware. They're going to try and back up the point. Xylo able to run down Panda Squad. Sherry trying to take this duel with the Hog on the point, but Alistar has a Kiriko to back him up, and Xylo cleans up Revalia. And actually, looks like there is still someone on point. Triplet actually made it back to solve the point, but now Tempest will get their first percentage in the series.
It does look like this composition's finally trying to do exactly what it wants to, and that's force the issue on the point while that Genji causes chaos in coordination with that Tracer. That DPS duo is looking to surround the enemy team while that Hog finds a pick.
Nice
But I
hook
say
there.
that and Alistar goes extremely low.
Yeah, he went very deep for that hook onto Sherry. Did hit it, but nothing to come of it except, a lot of chunking to himself. But as Sherry dives for the point, they will get the flip, or she will get the flip, excuse me. But her back line has already fallen. The Meteor Strike going to come out and try and answer it. But Phaedron, a victim of a beautiful hook there from Alistar, and it's just clean up at this point for Tempest.
Alistar's looking like a new tank on this Hog right now. This composition is so much better when Alistar is not looking for the hooks onto Cherry. When the Hog's looking for some of those picks onto the back line, it looks like this composition is much more deadly and much more competitive.
It very much does. It's that old philosophy, right, that we used to have with Pharah in Overwatch 1, which is there were two ways to do with Pharah, which was kill her team on the ground or kill her first. It's a very similar thing that they're doing with this Doomfist, isn't it? With either they're kind of just letting the Doomfist go into the back line, and then Z just uses the speed, and they all run on top of, Panda Squad or Revalia or Triplet.
That is the idea, and with a hyper-mobile composition, they just have to get their team through some of these big chokes, and it looks like they might be able to survive that first hook.
Sherry forced a dive out there, a very nice hook from Alistair. Backed up with the Kitsune Rush to buy space. Maybe not the highest value Kitsune Rush, but you're not upset with that if you're inlays, are you?
No, it buys them time, and it puts them actually ahead in the percentage, as now it looks like Phaedron's trying to push the issue onto the point.
A Triplet has the sound barrier. It'll be interesting to see how they use it. They're going to use it now as Phaedron's already found Idleys. Answered by Z. Tempest is down one in this fight. Xylo is trying to cut through Sherry, but that Doomfist just so much health, so much mobility. Not able to find an answer, and Tempest is going to be falling. But they have put themselves in one fight territory.
Yeah, Izzy with a curious sound barrier there used the ultimate after Italy actually goes down there, and with that, it looks like we do have a quick pause coming in.
Yeah, tech issues. We want to make sure all our players are playing at their maximum capacity. I'm sure you guys understand people are going to be working to get these things fixed. But while they're at this pause, I do want to chat with you real quick about this Genji and what this Genji's been offering that Tempest didn't get from the Echo in the last round.
I think one of the biggest things this Genji is offering is actually comfort for Xylo. He looks so much more, or they look so much more comfortable on the Genji as opposed to an Echo or that Sojourn. The Sojourn, they looked lost. Their positioning was kind of suspect, and they were getting picked off very early on. This Genji, Xylo's living longer in the fights and providing his team much more value.
Right, and I mean, there is always a balance to be struck there between, making sure you're comfortable on a hero and you know how to play them versus, what is actually meta. Like, yes, Genji is probably not the optimal pick for this comp into this comp, but it's working for them because Xylo is just that good of a Genji player.
Exactly. If those optimal picks are getting you picked off in the first 10 seconds of a fight, they're not really that optimal in the long run, are they?
Of course, yeah, you've got to make sure that you're comfortable in a fight. Even back when Banana Comp was meta, if you couldn't play Winston, then you got to find something else that works, right?
Well, and that's kind of been the really fun thing about Overwatch 2 is that now with the 5v5 opening it up a bit, we have a few heroes that fulfill kind of similar niches, maybe not the exact same niche, but it allows some of these players to have a bit of flexibility where they are more comfortable on, let's say, a Genji as opposed to an Echo.
Right. So following that line of questioning, uh, Malware has looked a little bit at a loss as to what to do about this Genji. This Genji has been causing a lot of problems for specifically Revalia, where she has been kind of being forced to use that Suzu, forced to use that Shadow, or not Shadow Step, Swift Step is what her ability is called, very
Yes.
early. So how do you effectively peel for Revalia if you're on Malware?
I will tell you right now, it's not as crucial right now as Xylo does not have their ultimate up at the moment, but there is nothing more satisfying after getting a one good boop on a Genji after he blades. If you're booping him after he uses a dash without getting a reset, you can effectively speed boost your team away. You can relax and everything's good. Even some being able to save sound barrier. But it does look like Triplet's going to have to use his boops a little bit more defensive, and we might actually even have to see Cherry pull up and play a little bit slower, letting his backline kind of peel for each other first.
Right, because with that Echo, it was a lot easier for Revalia to dodge. The Echo, I mean, yes, she has her fly, but they excuse me, but they also, it's on a cooldown, so Revalia can play around a corner and then just climb up to a high ground once the fly ran out. But now Xylo can chase with the double jump and the wall climb. So what I'm understanding from you, to get back on topic a little bit, is that it's going to come down a lot to Triplet to set the boundaries essentially, and to prevent Xylo from getting too close, and also to Sherry on that Doomfist to essentially set the pace at something that doesn't let Xylo get the value they're looking for.
Yeah, well, and sometimes as a support player, actually calming can also be a big fix here. If Rivalia can start calling out some of those dashes from the Genji, where then the team is then able to punish early dashes or maybe some bad dashes from Xylo early on, they might be able to put this round away.
Right, that does make a lot of sense. Well, we are back into game now, and we are setting up for this fight. Not a lot of ults on the side of Tempest, just Destiny's Pulse Bomb. Always possible to win a fight with just the Pulse Bomb, but it'll be interesting to see if Tempest decides to take this as a dry fight, if they're tracking ultimates well. But they're taking this slow enough that they're not really going to have the time to, are they?
No, they're nearing one fight territory as Malware is creeping up to 90% here, still with that Zuzu, or the Kisune rush as well.
Big pulse bomb stick there from Destiny, but answered right back by Phaedron. Sherry is out of the fight. Oh, Xylo deflected Panda Squad's ultimate into them. That is so important. It's just Revalia running for the hills. It's probably going to come down to Sherry to pop that meteor strike to get a touch to keep this overtime rolling.
It does look like we're going to have a bit of a panic fight coming out here from Malware, but if there's anywhere where Doom excels, it is in overtime.
It is. He has that meteor strike, or she has that meteor strike available for that survivability. Uses it, drops back onto the point, keeps that overtime flowing. Her team's backing her up now. A Panda Squad, big shot onto Xylo. That's one down for Tempest. Is looking for an answer. No one really near an ult except Triplet. Desperately trying to build up to that sound barrier. Gives Italy's. That's such a huge pick.
Italy's there is playing so close to Alistair, and Alistair's unable to protect his backline, as it now looks like Malware is going to clean up and probably put this map away.
They do put this map away. Unfortunate there for Tempest that Italy's fell when he did, but yes, sorry, Italy's is she. I'm sorry, I'm still learning these player pronouns, but not a much better second round there from Tempest. From Tempest, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely, a much better round from Tempest, showing us a bit of life, but it also they stopped swapping heroes, and sometimes that's all you kind of need.
Of course. Well, our second map is going to be that good old Route 66 attacker spawn with the teeth, and Control is a weird map type. It always has kind of been the odd one out of map type, maybe a little less so now that we have push. But what do you want to see change going into Route 66? If anything, for Tempest.
I was going to say, actually, I don't know if Tempest changes too much here. I feel like the Hog does really well on Route 66, whereas the Doomfist isn't going to have the same sightlines for his supports to really back him up, right? Where it's going to start putting not Revalia, my apologies. We're just going to start putting, oh no, I had that right. Yeah, Revalia and Triplet kind of in some stickier situations around some of those corners.
So you think a lot of this is going to come down to the play of Triplet and Revalia, and how specifically, Tempest expends their resources?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. We're gonna see which team can play a little bit tighter here. We saw a lot of good peel coming out from Cherry. Cherry was an absolute monster on the Doomfist, being able to peel for his backline, doing things like being able to punch the hooks, which were just so absolutely massive.
Right, I mean that's not a big window to cancel the hook with the punch, is it?
It's not, but sometimes all you have to do is get the hog just a meter or two back to get some of that damage fall off on, just to keep your support alive, and that can
Right.
be enough. That can be the
It,
key to winning the whole fight.
of course, I mean, we saw that a couple times where, Sherry kind of got hooked, but they survived, and then, Alistar doesn't have that cooldown, so suddenly the pick potential for Tempest has fallen. But on the flip side, we saw a few times where Alistar does hit that first hook onto someone like Phaedron, and they die, and suddenly Malware's like playing down a player, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. And if we're gonna have to see Alistair get a little bit more creative with these hooks, not look to hook Cherry. I think hooking in that Doomfist, it doesn't guarantee you a kill, and it sometimes puts the Doom in an okay position against your own backline.
Right. I mean, Doomfist wants to be up in your face. He wants to be, getting that big punch, multiple people, some a whole bunch of. Especially with someone playing the way Sherry does, where she plays so aggressive. If you hook him in, a lot of the time you're just, making it so she doesn't have to use a cooldown to get in, and then she has that tool to escape.
Exactly, and it looks like Sherry, because she's going first, she is playing more aggressive. She's really forcing the issue and putting her team at an advantage, forcing Tempest to use resources before they would want to.
Right. Oh, Sherry on the Junker Queen.
No
This is
shot.
bait, right? This is bait.
Nah, they're on the attacking spawn. We don't fall for attacking spawn comps. It's been 6 years.
I
7
want
years?
to though. I want that Junker Queen. Yeah.
You want to believe?
I want to believe in the Junker Queen. I want to. Listen. Either way, Tempest. The same thing they ran on that Ruins round. I think that's a good pick. It worked very well for them on Ruins. I wonder if Xylo had started on the Genji instead of starting on the Sojourn, a little bit more ult charge, it might have worked even a little bit better. Ooh, Orisa? No, Orisa. All my dreams are
no. We're gonna see both teams run it back here as Cherry looks to force the issue on the Doomfist.
So the Doomfist has to contest that high ground on top of the gas station, right? How do you do that effectively?
Big Earls look so deadly with that hog sitting on top of it. I don't know what they're gonna do here. Probably a good punch and trying to punch them off of the high ground, not necessarily looking for a kill, but rather to clear the high ground.
They tried to seismic slam up there. Good shutdown there by Z to deny it with the boop. But the same thing, they're able to punch up there. Z on top of these boops that's so far.
Absolutely. Ooh. Z, that's the pick. That's the peel I was looking for last map, but it does look like Driplet is putting his stamp on this fight.
Yeah, the Sojourn and Panda Squad. Triplet playing a very solid Lucio, always right next to Sherry or Cherry. I'm honestly not sure how they'd like me, so I should ask how. But either way, yeah, I don't. It's very interesting to see the dynamic between Z, who's got that Roadhog that they're playing around, versus what he has to work around in the Doomfist, where Triplet can get much more aggressive because that Doomfist can get much more aggressive.
Yeah, and this is amazing watching this Doomfist push up. Just a perfect cycle of ability usage here, giving Malware here so much space. They're almost at point C.
I mean, they're playing as if they are at point C. The card's not there yet, but they've got control of the high ground on top of the tavern. They've got control of the entire balcony that wraps around. It'll be so interesting to see how Tempest tries to bully their way out of it. Not that they don't have the tools to. Roadhog is great at bullying for space.
Well, and it's so interesting. They're choosing to have Phaedron go out here and poke while having Panda sit back on the payload. Normally you see those two roles swapped. But I guess Panda playing a little bit, looking for those picks when the time comes, though.
Yeah, and there was the time. And Sojourn may be nerfed, but that doesn't mean she's not good. She is still incredibly strong in the right hands. And then Phaedron, or Panda Squad, kind of putting on a masterclass here. Not to discredit Phaedron, as they do get that final blow into Alistar.
No, Phaedron's been occupying time and space. He's been a nuisance in this backline, making Xylo turn around, and really forcing Destiny to try to hunt him down. And really helping, alongside Cherry there, create some of this space. Well, look where Destiny died there, so far back. Yeah, but that's that's what I was just saying. That's what Phaedron's making him play like. It's amazing here.
Yeah, Phaedron really showing up on this Tracer. I mean, Destiny is playing very well, but Destiny doesn't, or Destiny has peel, or yes, sorry, I'm getting my words mixed up here. Destiny has just more peel tools than Phaedron does. They may have the same support line, but that Doomfist is so much more peel.
Yeah, it does look like Malware is essentially forcing Tempest to find out right now. They're
Yeah.
they're really forcing the issue and really taking him on tempo, on ability usage, and
Ooh.
even on ultimates here.
Important
say
shot
that.
from Italy's there. Like, yeah, very, very important pick from her. Tempest has 5 ultimates, but with Fate drawn down and Malware backing up, it's questionable if only to use them. So we could see a very big ult fight coming up here. Sadly, Italy's going to drop her Kitsune Rush first. Alistar using the whole hog in it. That's a lot of damage. Forces out Sherry's punch. Sherry going to drop in the middle of the team there. Maybe not where she would have liked to be, as the hook finds the kill, and we're going to be getting a bit of a reset here, it looks like.
Yeah, but if you're trading out that Meteor Strike for a whole hog and Kitsune Rush, you take that every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
Indeed.
It looks like Malware is going to be coming in here with 4 more ults, but they're going to have to win 2 team fights here to put the map away.
A Triplet now has no obvious thing to use this beat for. We'll see what he decides to. It's going to be for the Blade, which I think is a very good choice. And beat and Kitsune Rush, so much damage. Panda Squad once again going mad on this Sojourn. So many picks. Alistar's going to get bullied in a corner, and I don't even think there's an out for Italy's here. Trying.
Oh, also, I want to shout out Rivalia on that cleansing the pulse bomb for his team.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think it was a 3 or 4 man Zuzu there. Absolutely clutch.
Yeah, what an important play that was from her there. Desperate rush to the point here from Tempest. They do get there with the beat. See if they can make anything happen. They don't really have any ults. Panda Squad. Oh, important shot from Xylo. Shuts down that overclock. And, ZA is much faster and has a much closer respawn with being on the defense. Malware's going to have a tough fight to put this in. Great target focus to run down Italy's. Xylo? Hello, having a moment.
Xylo heard us talking about his Sojourn play, and he's back to prove us wrong. And it looks like with those short respawns, Tempest should have a small advantage here.
Panda Squad says, no, I am the superior Sojourn. Long live the king. I take Xylo out. Not many players left here. It's just Destiny and Italy's. Can Italy's even make it? No. Triplet ends it with a headshot. But considering Malware came in with a 6-minute time bank, getting 4 minutes off the clock, 3 minutes off the clock, not bad on the 3rd point from Tempest.
Not bad, but also when you consider you start the map with 4 minutes in the time bank, Malware only lost, what, 1 minute and 14 seconds overall? That if we do go to extra innings here, that massive time bank is going to be really big, especially considering it's over 1 minute.
Yeah. So, what do you want to see swapped up here from Tempest on the attack? Because clearly, at least especially on the first 2 points, the defense did not go particularly well. It did not go how you would draw it up.
No, it didn't go to plan there. I almost want to see something silly. I want to see either a complete swap up and just do something absolutely like some Junkrat Torb. Junkrat's been very popular recently on the ladder and whatnot. He causes a lot of chaos. But I almost want to see Alistar play that Doom as he is. To try to match that tempo and give his team kind of the same speed. The same speed and same tempo that Malware has been able to play with.
Sherry crushing my dreams once again, swapping off the Wrecking Ball. But we do see Alistar hovering that Doomfist right now, and by all indications, they may run out of it, because especially on 1st and 2nd point, there are high grounds you have to take, and Hog is not known for his vertical mobility, is he?
He's not known for any sort of mobility. Absolutely not. But it will be interesting to see Xylo on the Sojourn here. Maybe now with a complete mirror match, we can see them flex a little bit more on that Sojourn role.
Both teams perfectly mirrored here. If you had to pick one mirror here, which this map which is going to come down to, who would you put the pressure on?
Well, I think this does come down to Panda versus Xylo. Xylo has done some good work on the Sojourn already, but also Panda getting that getting his overclock deflected back at him last map. I think he has a little bit of a chip in his shoulder that he's looking to prove here.
Maybe. Unfortunately, I think Alistar may have gotten booped in a little deeper than he wanted to go. Gonna force a bit of a reset out here from Tempest. Xylo getting staggered is not great. Showing very low, but they're not capitalize on this.
And it looks like they're not able to control the big Earls.
No.
Yep, Destiny going down early.
Yeah, I honestly think Tempest needs to just do a hard reset. Just everyone go back into spawn. Let's get grouped up as 5 together. No more staggering. Move as 5, get grouped up as 5.
How much time do you think Tempest has scrimmed on this comp specifically? You
I
know,
don't
it doesn't
know,
seem like
honestly.
yeah, it doesn't seem like it was their first pick out of the gates,
It
and
wasn't their
I'm
first
worried about
pick,
their
no.
coordination a little bit.
It does seem like there's a little bit of a gap potentially between Destiny and Alistar that just isn't present between Phaedron and Sherry.
Yeah, we're like I've been praising Cherry left and right for their coordination with the rest of their team. Can Alistair achieve that same level of synergy on the Doomfist?
Yeah, I also feel like the target focus here from Malware has been, dominating. A very nice
Oh.
shot there from Idlis. Idlis, I honestly, I want to take a moment here to praise Idlis. Her team is not having the best end of it, but she is still finding shots, finding big cleanses, finding big heals. She is absolutely stepping up, giving more than you could possibly ask for in a very stressful moment here for Tempest.
Well, and sometimes some of those, I don't want to say lucky, but some of those long-range right clicks might be all you need to put yourself back into the map as Xylo gets a huge pick to open up this fight.
And now let's see how they capitalize on this. You've got Alistar trying to play in the tunnel, getting a little bit poked down. Xylo now has control of big girls, though, and that's important. Oh, that's good coordination from Triplet and Phaedron to run poor Xylo down, though. Alistar using the Meteor Strike, forces out the beat. Meteor Strike for being a trade you're very happy to take, but Italy's gets blown up by a charged punch, and unfortunately Xylo's shot gonna come to nothing.
Yeah, I would have loved to see a little bit more coordination with the Meteor Strike. The Meteor Strike now doing a big slow on enemies who are hit by it at all. So not necessarily, the Doom themselves doesn't necessarily have to get the picks anymore. It's if you hit 2 or 3 people, maybe that's enough for your team to follow up. If you slow the Lucio and you slow the Kiriko down, maybe your team can find a pick there.
Alistar back on this hog. This comp has struggled to see success. I don't want to be too dour on their chances. I think Tempest is absolutely capable of winning this game, but it feels like they're struggling in this comp matchup is the biggest part.
Well, it seems like with the Hog, they're forced to play a very individualistic style, right? Destiny looking for pulse bombs, Alistar looking for hooks, Xylo looking for right clicks. Whereas Malware gets to sit here and play like the coordinated team they have been playing like for the last 2 maps.
Yeah. And I mean, the big benefit. Oh, Triplet with a double kill. Brutal.
Bloodthirsty support.
Yeah, we do love to see some bloodthirsty supports, but a hometown team going down like that, not as thrilled. But, I mean, you're going to be relying on Xylo getting something done with the overclock, but Revalia has that Kitsune rush that will let her, get more Suzus to cleanse them. They're no beat. Xylo needs to come up big here. We know they have the potential. We just need to see it right now.
Well, and we're coming up in overtime. Xylo is now out of time to use that overclock. He has to find something soon,
Good
and he
shot.
does.
That's a very crucial shot. That's a speed gone. That's all the healing gone, in fact. And there may be one more fight. It's going to depend on overtime spawns. Sherry, she gets a very nice stall there. See how they set up. See if maybe Malware wants to do this retake. Looking like they do.
Yeah, this is good. It looks like a tall order to finish the map here for Tempest, but it does start with them capping point A, and it looks like they might have to put up one more fight here, and with both sides being pretty low on ults, it looks like a Triplet's going to have that the sound barrier, and that's going to be the thing to try to sustain them and put this map away.
Alistar may just try and knock people off the cart with this whole hog he has coming up. See how they decide to use that potentially final brawl of this map underway. Big punch on the Italy's. They do live. Meteor Strike comes back to card, but Revalia, that headshot, so devastating. Destiny was building up to that pulse bomb so quickly. The punch off the card, they do get the retouch. Big Suzu from Italy's keeps people alive. Alistar stuck. Hog does live it, though. He does have the breather. He comes out. Big. Italy's comes up with their own Kitsune rush. Time to turn this around, but Alistar just can't hang on. Another E-out from Xylo trying to find anything, but Sherry is an absolute madwoman. Xylo does tell Panda Squad that they do still rule this Sojourn matchup, but unfortunately, they do not rule the map.
No, it is a little unfortunate there, but I do want to point out Z there. Z had several really good beats throughout that map. It was a treat to watch.
Actually, we do see a sub coming through. We're gonna see Sherry coming out for Fern. What do you think this means? But like our next map is going to be Midtown. What do you think that Fern has in their pocket that maybe Sherry doesn't? That Malware wants to bring out from Midtown.
I'm thinking maybe it's probably one of the slower comps, probably something like a Sigma. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll see some Junker Queen. But I'm thinking most likely probably Sigma here. Trying to anchor down that first choke point is pretty powerful, and the shield's pretty strong there as well. Whereas we don't have Ramatra quite active yet for play here. It does look like Sigma is one of the best shield options we have.
I mean, maybe it goes the total other way. Maybe they have some like hidden wrecking ball comp. Maybe I can have dreams.
The thing is, I feel like Cherry would play the Wrecking Ball. I feel like your Doom would play the Wrecking Ball, play the
That's
Winston, and more the divey heroes.
That is probably true. So you would think if it's anything, it is probably that Sigma.
Yeah, I'm thinking they're going to try to slow down the tempo or go for kind of an overall different look here. That's normally why you end up changing out tanks. Tanks are so crucial in Overwatch 2 here, really setting the pace and setting the style of play. And Cherry was doing so well with her really aggressive dive style, really getting in the face of Tempest and making them expend resources, use their Zuzu early, use their hooks, and it was really a suffocating play style. So I would imagine you're going to try to pivot almost 180 away from that and play something a little bit more slower, try to really bog your enemy down and almost like suck them down and slow them down.
You know, it is kind of interesting to me that they don't want to run the Doom on Midtown, especially when it's working so well for them. Why do you think that is?
I was wondering the same thing. Of that Doom has looked so crisp, and the not only is the Doom look good, but the team coordination around the Doom that I've been highlighting all night tonight. I do wonder if we're going to see some of that synergy kind of change out with a new tank here. I am not a big fan of swapping tanks. I think we
Mhm.
haven't seen it work at like a very high Overwatch League level. We've seen a lot of Overwatch League teams not do well when they're swapping out tanks. But of course, this is not Overwatch League, and anything is really possible.
Right, of course. Anything is always possible. We're all out here pulling for a Marmoris reverse sweep, and we all believe it will happen, right?
I mean, I have nothing to do tonight, so I'm hoping this goes as long as we can.
That would be nice. All right.
Map
Well,
7? Map 7?
map 7. I think this is a best of 5. I think it's a best of 5. So map 6, map 6. All
Can
right.
we
Well,
can you actually draw any maps in this pool?
you can draw on Midtown. Midtown's hybrid.
Oh yeah, Midtown, you can draw on the hybrid map. Okay, okay.
Well, it looks like there's going to be no other changes. Just we're going to see Fern come in for Sherry. Looks like the teams are taking a bit of a moment to get themselves set. That's totally fine. We always want our teams to be maximally prepared. If you are the coaches for either team, what are you telling your players right now?
If I'm talking to Malware, I'm telling them stay loose but stay focused. Sometimes when you're ahead like this, it's easy to play with your food. To try to do something cutesy, like break out the torb, get a hammer kill, do something weird. Like don't play with your food. Put it away. We got playoffs just around the corner. You're looking good. Continue to look good. Whereas if I'm looking at Tempest, this is when I would actually probably pull out the playbook. And pull out something I was thinking about cooking up something you don't want to risk per se, but when you're down 2-0 and you're looking at an elimination match here, everything's on the table.
I mean, if we think way back to Overwatch 1, Goats was created when a team down 0-2 in a series decided we're not winning the mirror and we got to screw around, try something. They pulled out Goats, and we all know how that ended.
Yeah, 2 years later. It ended 2 years later.
That is correct. That is how long later it ended.
It ended 2 years later with a weird fire comp. But that's the thing is, we also saw into that goats comp when teams are clearly outmatched, right? We're not beating Choi Hyobin on Diva here, right? So you play the Pharah. They
Right.
play like I think the counter to that was what, a triple DPS setup.
Yeah, it was like Farah, Tracer,
Soldier.
Soldier or something.
Yeah, no,
Something weird.
the soldier flex, it was super weird. A lot of flex supports used to do it, but
Yeah, it was
back
like
in the day, back in the day.
I mean, unfortunately, we are no longer allowed to get that weird with our flexes. But you know, if you could have anything in the world going into against the Sigma comp, what would you have Alistar and Tempest pull out?
I think a great shield buster like a Junkrat could be a lot of fun. Junkrat with a high burst and actually surprisingly high mobility. The trap can be frustrating.
So,
Um,
so you're thinking something like an Orisa, Junkrat, Cassidy kind of look?
Maybe even a May. I would love
Maybe
to see
even
a
a
May come
May.
out. Yeah, May with her beam actually does a lot of frontline damage. So actually because I think it's 100 DPS now instead of the entire freeze. So up
Right.
against tanks like Sigma or even in Orisa because she's still DPSing through the fortify. So I think that kind of frontline pressure could be huge, especially when paired with something like a Sojourn or a Junkrat to kind of pair it with range, or even a Widowmaker.
Maybe not. I honestly don't. I
Widowmaker
don't
on this
expect.
map,
Yeah.
no, probably not on this map.
Not on
No,
the.
no, no,
No. I mean,
no. Maybe an Ash, but no Sojourn. We're most likely probably gonna. I would be shocked if we didn't see a Sojourn here.
honestly, this may be the best Genji map we've had so far, though. I don't think it would shock me to see
Ooh,
Xylo
that's a
stick on the
good
Genji.
shout. That's a really good shout. I didn't think about that. But yeah, no,
Well,
Zoe. We probably will see a Zoe here on the Genji.
yeah. Well, we are loading into Midtown right now as you hear the. Look, I don't know how to describe this kind of music. I like the Midtown music, is all I'm going to say. But Fern declaring they are a baller, I hope that means Wrecking Ball, but it probably doesn't.
It could. Oh boy.
Oh, boy.
Does it? Oh. I
I'm
mean,
not. I refuse to believe that they're running Symmetra, Junkrat, Ball, Zenyatta, Kiriko until they walk out of spawn.
I have no idea what you mean. Kiriko Zen is a super normal comp. I play it all the time in ranked. I have no idea what you mean. It's very successful. So much damage.
Right. Well, actually, interesting swap here from Tempest. Xylo over to the Tracer, and it's going to be Destiny to take up the Sojourn.
Interesting that this does look like a comfort issue where
Yeah.
they absolutely just need the Tracer and they need the Sojourn in, and this might be their best shot at putting both of those heroes into this lobby.
Oh, as Malware crushes my dreams once again. They're putting Fern in to play the Doomfist. Maybe a little bit of overconfidence and just trying to give someone else some playtime.
Yeah, it could be just getting Fern their legs underneath them, trying to get some match experience. You know, sometimes the big stage can be a little scary.
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sure of this, but I feel reasonably confident that Ramatra will be out for the playoffs. Maybe they're gonna plan to put Fern on the Ramatra, so they want Fern to feel comfortable. They want him to feel comfortable. Ooh, good cleanse on the hook there.
This is an interesting rotation, rotating far right from the defender's perspective here for Tempest. Or for Malware, apologies.
Fern looking like a bit more of a measured Doomfist, but it's worked so far. And, you know, again, Revalia just cleansing that hook, so important. Such a huge cooldown there for Tempest.
And it looks like the core backline of Revalia and Driplet here is what's really bringing this team forward, no matter who's in that tank slot.
It does look that way. Well, everyone from Tempest is going to get close spawn, but they are going to have to take that space from Malware. Malware playing very aggressive, and actually looks like Tempest just kind of wants to set up on this overpass.
Yeah, I think they're going to try to get this through the gate. The gate phase can take quite a while to get through, as it does on a lot of escort maps.
Indeed. Phaedron in the backline, forced to use that recall, but they're so close to pulse bomb. If they can live, that'd be very big for Malware. They cannot. Xylo hunts them down. Not for free though, as Xylo does pay the iron price.
Yeah, there are no longer any Tracers in this team fight. It is breaking down in kind of a scrappy one here, as Fern is trying to dive into the backline there.
Hook onto Fern, forced out the Meteor Strike. It'll be interesting to see where they decide to land with it. It's actually going to land on top of Destiny. That's the biggest pick they possibly could have gotten. Destiny was not able to slide away in time. Xylo on the return finds Fern. Fight's still anyone's game, but the payload, look where the payload's gotten to.
Yeah, now we have Xylo and Revalia doing a little 1v1 in the back, but Revalia not having the Zuzu, unfortunately, going down there.
What a stick from Phaedron there. Gets Italy's and gets Z low enough that they can be finished off by their counterpart. Alistar is so low, doesn't really want to peek with this whole hog, and Panda Squad's got to peek for them.
Yeah, it looks like Alistar was holding on for that whole hog, and that's all they had to try to hold that point, but Phaedron does shut it down with his overclock, putting an exclamation mark on the second fight.
That's the danger of playing that overpass, is sometimes the enemy team just says, okay, you can play that overpass, we're just going to play the objective. You do win Overwatch by playing the objective, so not how you draw it up if you're Tempest, but once again, we saw them get a very nice hold on Route 66. Nothing says they can't get it here. And they're coming into this with a better ult economy than they did on 66 even.
Yeah, the tail of this fight's going to be of the support ults, with the Kasune Rush already coming out here for Tempest.
Yeah, Triplet just going to hold on to that sound barrier. No points using it now. What do you think they hold it for? Do you think they use it for the overclock now that there's no more Kasune Rush?
Either that, or I think they actually might try to go for a bit of a tempo beat or something to that effect, where they're Or if they look to get a pick early, they might just try to secure the team fight with that beat and just put a period on it, close it out.
Once again, Malware looking to take that defender's position. Alistar, big pick onto the Sojourn, beat and Kitsune Rush traded. Malware trying to find something, but they're a little bit surrounded right now. They're not where they'd want to be. Phaedron wins the duel though, maybe that's enough. Xylo getting run down as they pop that ultimate. Not quite safe enough. Big boop there from Fern to keep Triplet alive. Malware now looking favored in this fight as the supports of it's Phaedron so on with these sticks this map.
Yeah, it looks like Malware is just so practiced on this composition. It doesn't matter what tank it is, whether that's Fern or Cherry. Both of them are hitting those crucial knockbacks, peeling for their team, and really putting their team ahead here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the biggest thing for Tempest at this point is you just have to stop thinking about it, right? At this point, you're behind the series, behind in the map, even if you do win this fight. Just stop worrying about winning. Just play your game, and if you lose, well, at least you're more practiced on your game for the next match. As a pick on a Fern, it's something. It's a start. They do have a massive respawn advantage, but Panda Squad has this ult, and there's no one left alive to touch. It's just Destiny. They're gonna touch. The beat's out. Xylo makes it out. There's a little bit of recontest going on here, but oh, that focus fire. So brutal.
No, that's exactly what I thought Driplet was going to use the beat for there. As soon as he saw his team have a chance to actually shut down the map and cap that point C, he went for it, put all of his team massively ahead in terms of health pool, and they were able to close it out pretty cleanly there at the end.
Right, I mean, this is a hard one if you're Tempest, because I think if you're Tempest at this point, you have to face the facts that it's going to take a miracle comeback, and you should never doubt your own ability to make that miracle comeback, but you have to get yourself in the right mindset to make it. You have to be like, okay, you know, what do we have to lose at this point in the series? You know, they lost 40 seconds on their attack. We're down 2-0 in this series. What do we have to lose? I feel like at this point, you just have to get silly. The hog isn't working.
Well, they're playing a pick composition, right? Where if you're not hitting your hooks and you're not hitting those rail shots, you're gonna look bad. That doesn't mean necessarily the composition's flawed or the team hasn't. It's just sometimes in those pick compositions, you don't have it on that day. And if you don't have it on that day, maybe it's time to, like you said, get weird, change it up. But yeah, it does seem like something. Maybe on a different day, we see a different looking Tempest here.
Absolutely, and I mean, honestly, I think a big part of the Phaedron is on the Torbjorn. Hang on, I was going to say something about how good Rivali has been playing, but Phaedron's on the Torbjorn. Now I want to talk about that.
Oh, great shout! I barely even caught that. Yeah, he does have that turret set up overlooking the point, but now we also see Alistar on the Orisa too, bringing in the battle cattle.
Yeah, the Orisa just like allows you to walk forward so much better with that Spirit of Stun. Honestly, the Orisa I feel like has a very favorable matchup into this Roadhog.
Yeah, the twirl can be huge against the hook, but Phaedron already finding an early pick onto Destiny there.
Perhaps getting a little too overeager, trying to chase the Orisa down into the Sojourn E after they did that. I wish they would break the turret. It's just 200 HP. Just someone shoot it. Please.
Someone's just gotta look at it for a second.
Honestly, the turrets put so much damage in on this fight. Like, they needed to break the turret. The turret doesn't miss a shot. It may not do a mountain of damage with every shot, but once they're on the point, as you can see, Panda Squad giving the turtle a kiss.
That's the thing, is this turret is almost single-handedly shutting down the Destiny on the Tracer there.
Right.
And if you're taking one person out of the equation with just the Torb turret, that is such a massive advantage in any team fight.
Right, and honestly, I feel like there's a chance. They got a tick, which is first of all huge for Tempest. If they just break this Torb turret, and you know maybe play its LOS, but Alistar ends up LOSing his supports, and that's not how you draw that up. Nice hook, but Z able to save themselves. A very nice play, and Rivalia in a little too deep, able to get run down as Tempest is going to be able to stabilize here and maybe get something going with Alistar respawning.
Yeah, but Phaedron's there. Oh, he dies super close to the Torb ultimate there, which can be so critical for controlling space.
A huge save from Z onto Xylo, but oh, that's a lot of ults that just got popped on. 3 different ultimates that got popped at the same time. Fern trying to chase down Z, but the funny Frogman just a little too fast. Now the Orisa's in here trying to bully Triplet. It is madness in this fire station. Terra
Oh, and then
Surge.
Terra Surge in a small room.
Decent damage. Can they follow up a little? They dodged the hook. There's someone on the point. It's Italy's. Maybe they would have wished Italy's was with them for that healing though.
Yeah, Italy's trying to make something happen with the pick there, but that, like you said earlier, that turret's still up and still overlooking the point, causing a lot of problems and probably going to cause some issues for the respawns coming back in.
Indeed. I mean, on the upside for this fight, at least they played very well around the line of sight of the turret, going around the bus stop to prevent it from getting line of sight, playing in the fire station where it can't see, because the turret, like you said, is set up to see point.
Well, and that's the key thing, is they have to come to this point eventually. Malware is able to play reactively here, set up, and just wait for Tempest to push into them. They don't have to go anywhere.
Indeed. I mean, I think it's very interesting how Phaedron has been using these overclocks. You know, a lot of Torbjorns use the overclock defensively. He's been using it aggressively, using that speed boost to run in, to shotgun down Italy's or Itzy, or just put a bunch of, or Itzy, sorry, Z, or just put a bunch of damage into Alistor. And it's been working really well for him.
You know, that might be a bit of a map 3 shenanigan kind of situation. Normally, Torbs don't play risky like that, but sometimes when you have that turret opening the point, you can't afford to give your life for a little bit of a cheeky flank.
Indeed. Xylo, hook killed. Pulse Bomb not quite on target from Destiny, and that was with their ults. I mean, Italy and Alistar will get one for the next fight, but that was their ult for this fight, and unfortunately comes up with nothing. At least Foreign does use this whole log at the end.
It is really interesting here. We do see Alistar on that horse living much longer, but I don't think that was ever the problem.
No.
The problem was never Alistar going down first, but they tend to be the last one alive, and that's true even on the Orisa composition.
Xylo and Destiny trying to make it a point. Destiny will get there for the touch, forced to recall by the turret though. The turret surge is out, but everyone is so low. Alistar has no HP left. Xylo and oh no, the hammer kill, not the hammer kill.
He got one.
He got one. Oh no. Well, that is a big GG's. Malware does take the series in a fairly decisive 3-0. Not how you wanted it to go if you're Tempest, but there were some good moments for them, weren't there?
There were some good moments. You know, Tempest really put everything they had out there. It was fun to see him on the horse composition there at the end. But man, Panda not missing when it mattered most.
Good lord. Panda is just a machine. I mean, a very good match ultimately though. There's if you're Tempest, you can hang your heads high after that. Malware is another very good team. And yes, they were better than you on the night, but nothing explicitly went wrong for Tempest. They just kind of couldn't find their footing in time. The tempo from Sherry just a little too much. The tempo from all of Malware maybe just a little too much. But that's workable. That's something you can fix in scrim. So I don't think Marmoris should feel too down on their chances after this.
Well, they shouldn't feel too down, but I might have a little bit of concern where their match before this was another loss to another 3-0 loss, I believe. That was to a team that is currently 4-0. But so if you're Tempest, you have to start asking the question of how do we start beating these teams who are sitting above us in the standings? Because that's what's going to matter, right? In 2 weeks, we got playoffs coming up. That's going to be the big question for Tempest to answer.
Yeah, maybe you have to think, maybe this hog comp, yes, we can bully some of the worst teams in the league with it, but these Kirikos on the higher level teams, maybe they're just too good with these cleanses for the hog comp to really work. It's something I think they have to ask questions about, but that's what they have coaches for, and I do believe they'll be able to bounce back from this.
Yeah, I think the hog composition can prey on a lot of on teams that lack a lot of synergy, but that doesn't mean it can't also be a very synergistic composition and be one that works extremely well when you can all play it together and find those advantages.
And we saw a lot of swapping from Destiny and Xylo this match. Maybe you have to reconsider what you want them on, get them on some more comfort picks, because that last map, it didn't look amazing, honestly. Xylo and Destiny both struggling to find a little bit of value. They honestly looked best playing the Tracer Genji. When they had
Xylo looked really good on the Genji.
He did.
He even diffed Panda a couple times in the Genji versus Sojourn, which you don't see a lot, but that was so much fun. A couple of those deflect kills.
Yeah.
I'm sure those will be in a highlight package somewhere.
I'm sure they will, but Tempest will figure this out. I firmly believe that, and they're still in a solid position going into playoffs. They've got what, like two more matches coming up, I believe.
Yes.
Even if they just win one of those, go 4-3, you're feeling okay. You'd ideally like to go 5-2, but they're not in a bad spot. They definitely are still. They still have to be looking to playoffs, and I think they have everything they need to make it there.
And the next out of the two next matches will be key. Will be really critical for momentum going into the playoff format.
Right, and I mean, you'd really like to win this next match because if you win 3 matches in a row, especially if they lose this next one 3-0, that's when you start having problems with people getting really tense and like, oh god, I don't want to lose again and trying to play like over perfect Overwatch. Obviously you want to play perfect Overwatch, but when you're trying to play perfect Overwatch, that's when problems happen.
Yeah, when you don't want to play to not lose, right? That's
Exactly.
when you look your worst. You're just sitting there like, I can't mess up, I can't mess up, I can't mess up. Because when you're doing that, you're not messing up, but you're also not doing much. So,
Yeah.
but
Well,
they have a lot to look forward to.
indeed. Either way, I think that is all we have for you tonight. If you're in the Marmoris organization, I do believe we have some pugs coming up, so maybe join them. I hear they're fun. But that is it from me, Zooey, and the booth. You can find me on Twitter at ZooeyCasts. Nerd, it was so good to have you. Do you have anything you want to plug?
Not too much. It's been an absolute pleasure casting with everyone. Thanks for
Indeed.
having me on my very first cast with Malmoris here. It's been a blast.
Yeah, now I do want to give a big thanks to our producer, Mei Lu. She did a wonderful job tonight producing for us, and I want to wish all of you, good night, good morning, wherever you are. I hope you have a good day.